You're about to listen to Enthusiastically Self-Employed, the podcast created for you as someone who is self-employed and enthusiastic about your business growth. I'm your host, Brenda Meller, and I look forward to sharing with you LinkedIn tips, marketing tips, and business tips. You'll hear from me in solo episodes as well as through my guest interviews. Now let's get started. Welcome back to the podcast. I was just thinking about that. I'm saying welcome back, but maybe you're binge listening my podcast right now because maybe you're on a road trip, you're doing housework, you're out walking the dog, whatever you're doing. At any rate, welcome back to the podcast and thank you for listening. Today, this is another featured member spotlight interview from my Marketing with Meller program. You're going to hear today from Liz Lopez, who recently published a book, and she has a coaching program that's related to that. Now, I could tell you more about it in my own words, but the interview is actually Liz talking about it in her own words. So without further ado, enjoy the episode. And away we go. Oh, maybe move my microphone over. There we go. Now away we go. Hey, good afternoon, good morning, or good evening, depending on where in the world you are and the time of day that you're watching or listening to this. This is our Marketing with Meller Member Spotlight, and today we're going to be hearing from Liz Lopez. Hey, Liz, how are you doing today?
I am doing really well. I'll tell you, I stayed up really late last night reading a book, so it was a little bit of a sleepy morning, but the afternoon is kicking up.
There you go. You got to just push through that slump and maybe caffeinate or your way through it, if you will too. So for those that are joining us, you may be listening to this on the podcast or you may be in the Zoom room with us today. I started this series, this Marketing with Meller Member Spotlight. It was actually, I think we did the first one back in December of 2025. And now I do about one a month, one every other month, depending, where I look for volunteers who are members of Marketing with Meller to do a spotlight on. And we're going to interview Liz today, and she gets to pick one of her products or services or offerings to talk about. So as a Marketing with Meller member, it's a really great way for you to introduce a bit more about your business to the Marketing with Meller community, as well as the greater listening community for my podcast, which is called Enthusiastically Self-Employed. And it's been an evolving process. I used to host people outside of my member community on my podcast, and we only have 24 hours in a day. So I decided I'm going to be a bit more selective about where I'm spending my time. And I'm just really giving my members and my clients, individuals like you, more and more value. So I am no longer doing the free for free thing, but for those who are already inside my communities and members and clients, you're getting a ton more value from me and a lot more access to me as well. And features like today are part of those membership perks. With that said, if you are a Marketing with Meller member and you'd like to be featured in the future, just go into chat before you leave the Zoom here today and say, feature me, and I'll reach out to you and we'll get that scheduled. With all of that said, the format that we're going to take is I'm going to be asking Liz some questions. We're going to be having a conversation for about 15 or so minutes, and then we'll open up the floor to Marketing with Meller members for questions. As we're doing our discussion today, if you have any questions along the way, feel free to use the Zoom raise hand function. That way I know that there are some folks that have some questions for Liz. I'll finish my portion with Liz first, and then we'll open it up to audience questions, and then we'll wrap up. So with that said, Liz, there might be some people who are in the room on Zoom today or listening on podcasts who've never heard about you. So if you could, tell us your name, the name of your business, what do you do, and who do you help?
All right. So I am Liz Lopez. I am a coach. I am an author, and I am a speaker. I am absolutely just gobsmacked sometimes that I have written 2 best-selling professional development books. And I've been doing this a long time now. It just crossed over the 19-year mark here in May 7th. Well, the work that I'm doing really focuses around success strategies, and it falls into a couple different buckets. So there's coaching that I do in the corporate world, typically with leaders, whether they're in transition or looking to do leadership development within their role. My column where I work with my business owners, my entrepreneurs, and that's exciting because we work on a path that I call joyful profitability, because I believe that we have the right to have enormous amounts of prosperity, but also stay healthy and vibrant. And then the third kind of category is the newer coaching that I'm doing that's related to the book, Permission to Dominate Your Success, it has a little bit more to do with the mindset of success and eliminating self-doubt and self-limitations that may be interfering with you being able to pursue the goals that you have, whether that's in your career, whether that's in your business, or even in life.
Wonderful. I'm looking around right now because I'm like, I have your book and I wanted to hold it up and I can't find it right now. So I'm going to ask you the next question and I'm going to poke out a camera for just a second, but I will be coming back. So do not panic. And this way, you know, this is live because why would somebody leave the camera while they're interviewing their guests? Right? So Liz, what would you like to talk about today? What product, service offering, what would you like to talk about today?
So I want to talk a little bit more about the book and the coaching that's related to that.
Okay.
It's the whole concept of giving people what they want versus what they need. And most of my work has to do with giving people what they want, right? They want the new job. They want the promotion. They want a better salary. They want to be stronger leaders or being visible in their industries. They want to make money as business owners. And when you're giving them what they want, you can slip in what they need, which is a lot of the concepts around eliminating some of the internal barriers, right? Fear of failing, fear of actually asking for money, all these different fears that people may have. This new book and this new approach is a little more direct, right? This is for the people who either acknowledge that I have these limitations. I'm dealing with imposter syndrome. I'm dealing with self-doubt. I know that the biggest thing holding me back is me. So there's a level of self-awareness that's required for this. And honestly, there's a little bit of courage in that process as well. I was on a podcast yesterday and I said something that's really stuck with me and I'm giving a lot of thought because some of this work that I do in group environments, and I think that works so well, Brenda and others, because courage is contagious.
Yeah. So talk to me. So this is a book and you said there's a group offering that came and now I'm putting on my marketer's hat, you know, asking this question. So which came first? Were you like, oh, I want to do a group coaching and I think a book is a nice segue into that? Or did you develop the book first and then say, you know what, I could do a group coaching on the back end of it? So tell us about that. Grab your book.
It's been a little bit of all of it. I'll tell you, I first came up with the concept of this book back in 2019. And what I did when I first came up, the first 5 permissions, there's 7 permissions total. The first 5 came at me hard and fast. And I had a women's group that I was speaking to, but probably 2 or 3 weeks later. Yeah, thank you. There it is.
For those on the podcast, I found the book and I'm holding it up right now.
That's awesome. So I developed a presentation, a PowerPoint around these 5 initial permissions. And I went into this meeting and I told them that I was going to talk to them about permission to dominate your success. And there was probably about 20 women in this meeting. And one of them just kind of crosses her arms and leans back. You're not going to tell me nothing, right? And I went through the permissions. I talked about permission to fail, permission to be supported, permission to take baby steps, permission to feel confident and to prosper. And by the end, they were all really moved. And then this one woman let everybody talk. And then when everybody was done and the room was starting to quiet down, she started to speak. And she told a story that when she started her business 40 years ago, she's had a jewelry business. And her husband thought, "Don't make yourself some little petty cash. That'll be fine." So her business grew. And all of a sudden, she was making real money. And then all of a sudden, she started making more money than him. So he told her, "You either keep the business or you keep me."
Ooh.
She kept the business.
We're all waiting for it. Drum roll.
She kept the business, got herself a new husband. She gave herself permission to be successful in her own way. And at the end, she got up and she grabbed me by the arm. And I remember because she had a grip on her. And she said, "You need to talk to every woman in the country about this. Everyone needs to hear this."
And Liz says, challenge accepted.
Challenge accepted. So then I spent the next 6 years doing talking events about this. I did some kind of workshops around it. And as I built the book, and the next 2 permissions came, which are permission to walk away and permission to succeed, which kind of rounded them all out. So there isn't really a direct path that I don't have a question of I came up with this great plan and this was the funnel. No, it
Right.
was highly organic. And now that the book has finally been born, now I have different types of workshops, and then I have a group program that's coming in in the fall, which has been a big dream for a long time.
That's very exciting. It's exciting for me as a marketer to hear the evolution of this as well. And we as consumers will look at this tidy package thing with a bow that's been created, and we're like, oh, Liz created this. It was a very methodical process, and what you just heard from her, it was more of this organic process that came to be. And what I also heard you say, Liz, was it started with the concepts that grew into a book. You got some of that market feedback saying everyone needs to learn this. You need to teach this to everyone. And then you, after developing the book, started thinking about launching this group coaching program as well. Now, leading up to that, I think in between the book and the group coaching program, aren't you doing some masterclasses or webinars as a process
Yes.
as well?
Yes, two master classes that I've developed out of this. One is called the Success Reset, which is a 90-minute class. So much fun. It's deep, but it's also fun because we go through each permission, we score ourselves on the permissions, and then we rank them and we choose one. And then I give everyone what I call permission missions, which are activities to strengthen that permission in your life. So that's a really fun one. I've gotten great response of that. I've done it live, I've done it virtual. The second one is actually one that I debuted on your small business marketing summit earlier this year. And it was 10 minutes, and now it has expanded into it's going to be a 60-minute masterclass this month on the 21st, and it's called Grow Your Business Without Doing More.
Yeah.
And it's built around this supported revenue model where there's certain permissions and certain levels of support that we can give ourselves in our businesses. And we get to examine where we have that support and where we don't, and where we
Mhm.
want to close those gaps.
And I was looking at my calendar as you were talking, so I was like, that sounds familiar. I think that's the one that I registered for. And when you said
Yes,
21st, I'm like, yep, it is. It's on my calendar for that date. And by the way, for those that are listening, we'll drop the links into the comments, or if you're listening on the podcast, we'll drop the links into the show notes as well for later. So
awesome.
I want to backtrack for just a second back to the book. I believe you said it's a 2 times bestseller. Is that right? The book?
So I am a two-time bestseller, and I've written two best-selling books.
Okay. So what's the other book?
The other book, I always get a laugh when I talk about it because I have a love-hate relationship with the title.
Yeah.
It's called Suck It Up, Buttercup.
I have that one
Yeah.
handy.
10 tough love strategies to get you off your butt and making money. And it's two voices in the book. I
Yeah.
wrote it with my best friend and at the time business partner. And she's your Jersey voice, the street smarts. And I'm more the softer voice. So
Yeah.
she's the suck it up, I'm the buttercup. But it basically takes the 10 top excuses that our coaching clients were giving us as to why I can't do this, why I can't do that. And so every chapter is one of those excuses. And we talk about it from both our perspectives, and then we give action items so that if you know that that's something that you cope with, that's something that is a barrier for you, here's some exercises to help you get over that.
I love it. And I had that one handy because when we met in Chicago through the Innovation Women Live Chicago event, I brought the books with me and we got a picture in person. And by the way, really great marketing technique here too. I'm holding up on screen right now for those of you that are listening, but the book has an autographed copy, this gold sticker on it. So I ordered this through the mail for you. And this one does too. I didn't even notice that until now. The other one does an autographed copy sticker of this as well. And
Yes.
for those of you who are authors, I want you to think about this conversation that we're having with Liz J. Started with this concept of a book, which evolved into this group coaching program. But in between, she's also developing some master classes and webinars, which are stepping stones towards that. And the one that I'm attending on the 21st, it's a paid master class. And I think that's the way that you've been marketing this. So you have to buy the book, you have to sign up and pay for either one of those master classes or webinars, and then you're paying for the group coaching program. Is that right? Or are you offering any freebies along the journey here?
When they are so whichever way they access the master classes, when the master classes, they're getting inklings into the book, right? They're getting
Yeah.
some of the tools that the book presents because the book has multiple ways of overcoming and building every single permission. When I do the master classes to keep it really laser, I'm giving you one permission mission per. So you're getting taste and pieces of it.
Mhm.
The reason I love the concept of the group program is that we're going to go deeper, right? We're going to examine this deeper. We're going to really get into those blockages, but then we're going to execute together. So when you do the master class, you come and you're inspired, you talk to other people, you see you're not alone, you're not the only one, and you get this permission mission, but then you leave my space, and even though I follow up, I don't always know, did you do it? Did you
Right.
do it?
Yeah.
When you're in the group program, we're going to have 4 weeks together. So we're going to execute together. We're going to gather evidence because when you execute, when you do the things and you see how it works and you feel that strengthening happening, you're gaining that evidence, which then creates confidence, which then creates courage to do more.
Yeah, that's great. And all of these concepts, I have to admit, I haven't finished the book yet. But I was telling you when I was reading the book, I can hear your voice. I can hear you reading it to me. Your voice is coming through loud and clear, and it's such a consistent message that you have. What you hear from Liz here on today's call is very similar to the tones, that conversational approach that they're taking the book, which leads me to believe that would be the same in the masterclass and in the group coaching program as well. So in the pre-show, Liz, I asked you who to tell us. I gave you some preliminary questions I made. So who is this for? And then I'm going to ask the reverse. Who would not be a good fit for this as well?
What's different about this is that you don't necessarily have to be a corporate executive. You don't even have to have a business. I'm having moms coming into this. I'm having retirees coming into this because they know that there's something more, right? I have this voice in me telling me I got to do something else, but I know I'm giving myself all these reasons why I can't. And I want to be in this space because I want to unlock that. So it could be that maybe you have something really specific you want to do in your career. Maybe you have something really specific that you want to do in your business, or maybe you just have something shining within you that you need to do in your life.
Yeah.
And this space is for you.
Love it. That's great. So that's who it is for. Who would it not be for?
It is not for people that like to blame others. So there's sometimes we encounter those folks, and sometimes it's a phase, it's a moment. But if somebody that's always constantly thinking, companies always messing with their employees, or I couldn't do this because of that, or this person, this. If you're not someone that's willing to see that you have a lot more control, if you're not someone that's willing to own that maybe you've been stopping yourself and celebrate the fact that you can do it differently, then this is probably not going to resonate with you.
Yeah. So not the person that says the world is happening to me. This because of the world, all these outside. This is this is the luck of the draw I've been given. This is more for the people who are like, okay, I know I can change. I just need to get the path to get there. Right.
But I will say this, Brenda, and I want to acknowledge there is a lot happening in the world.
Yeah.
There's absolutely external factors, but a lot of times we have a lot more control than we think. But it's easy. I call those sexy distractions sometimes because sometimes it's valid and sometimes we need to acknowledge that it's a lot easier to focus on that rather than this.
Yeah. Yeah, very good point. Yeah. And some of the things are out of our control, but let's control what we can.
Yes.
Absolutely love that mindset. Okay, so we're going to shift gears. I'm going to open the floor now to Marketing with Meller members to ask you questions. If there's anyone who's on the call with us today that would like to ask Liz a question, I would ask that you use the Zoom raise hand feature if you can. That way the little hand goes up. I know that you have a question. And I always encourage my members when we're coming into these calls to think of a question as I'm interviewing the person, because it's really challenging being in that hot seat and no one has any questions for you, right? And the people who've come before you, Liz, will know and appreciate that feeling. Oh, nobody has any questions. They don't like me, right? It's not that. Maybe we just haven't been thinking of asking a question. So I see that there's a couple of hands that have been raised. So we'll go first with Elaine. What questions do you have?
Hi, Liz. Great listening to you. Since you have all these different approaches, how would somebody that's interested in working with you decide on whether they should pursue individual coaching versus a master class versus the group class?
I'll say one of the easiest ways, of course, is to have a conversation with me. And I always offer a 20-minute engagement where we can talk and we could explore that. But if you're sitting there in a moment and you're trying to figure out which button to click, I always recommend start with a masterclass. It's an easy investment. It's of energy, of time, of money, and it gives you a time to be in my space, time to see how I interact, and that will tell you, oh, I want more of this. I want to go deeper with this, or maybe it tells you, you know what, this is exactly what I need right now, and I'll come back for more later.
Excellent. Thank you, Elaine. All right, next up, we have a question from Kat.
Hello, Liz.
Hi.
How you doing?
Today's fabulous.
All right. So my question is a little deeper. I want to know, what permission were you not getting when you, or that you were getting or did not get, that helped you develop this book? Like, what were you facing, and how did you put that into the book?
I always tell that I have lived every single one of these permissions. The hardest one, the one that for me in my life has always been the most difficult, has been permission to walk away. And one of the reasons that it took so long to get the book published is that in 2023, I moved from Florida to Illinois. And that was intentional. I meant to move, but it was really a difficult decision. I never thought I'd ever live Florida. I've been there 35 years. I thought that was it. The heat was getting hotter, the storms were getting stormier, and my wife and I really had this incredible desire to live somewhere where we could experience all four seasons. And so we walked away from a community where I was very well known. She had a great job. We had a lot of family, and we just picked up and started over somewhere very new. So for me, permission to walk away is the one that has always been the most challenging, and yet, thankfully, has always been exactly the right thing to do.
Okay. Thank you.
I love that. Have you been asked that question yet, Liz, about that's a very clever question from Kat.
Yes. And I don't know that I answered exactly the way that she asked it, but that's the best way that I can offer it, because I definitely, at every point in my life, I'm experiencing one of the permissions. And it's because it's not a one and done. It's not like, look, I'm going to tell you right now, you're going to read the book, you're going to love it, you're going to go through some things, but that doesn't mean you're never going to reface a permission. As you go into new environments, as you scale up in your business, in your career, different things are going to scare you, different things are going to pressure you, and you may revisit a permission that you maybe had tackled before because you're being challenged in a new way.
Yeah, very good. And depending on the season that you are in your life and in your business, you might find that a certain chapter is resonating or hitting you a bit differently based on that season of your life as well. And as it relates to the book, it's funny because I have a book called Social Media Pie, and I will frequently get asked, well, what's your favorite kind of pie? Like, related to the book, what's your permission? What's the one that strikes you, and related to the book as well? Okay, I think, Elaine, did you have another question? Did you have your hand raised again, or was that a residual hand raise from before? That was residual. So sometimes in Zoom, we'll click on the raise hand function it will stay up there. And I think that's what happened on there. So I want to remind Marketing with Meller members, don't be shy. If you have any questions for Liz about anything that we've talked about here so far, or anything for that matter, feel free to raise your hand. Rose, he has a question. Go ahead, Rose.
Hi, Brenda. Mine's more of a statement than a question. I talk to Liz on an often basis enough that I know so much about what she does. But I just wanted to share that I have both of the books right here next to me. I think both are even signed. I've had them signed in person by Liz. And what I love about Liz and her coaching is throughout her career, she's always been so transparent about her journey, which as someone that's been a student of hers many times, it's always been so helpful. She'll share a challenge she's going through. She'll share what she's tried that has worked. And then even better, she'll share what didn't work, so that oftentimes you get to avoid those mistakes as a business owner, because she's transparent enough and allows herself to be vulnerable enough to let us grow and learn with her as she upscales her business. And it's been great to watch her really achieve a lot of the things that she set her mind to over the years, and to constantly be giving herself those permissions as she takes on new endeavors. So thank you for Liz. I really appreciate that you're always so willing to share your steps in the journey.
Thank you, Rose. It's been such an incredible journey to coach you and to watch how you have evolved as a coach, and celebrating the fact that your program is now full and you're doing amazing. The student now becomes the colleague, and I absolutely love that. So thank you.
I have this really great coach that helped me give myself the permission to do all those things.
I have to ask now too, as your LinkedIn marketing coach for all of you, Rose, have you given Liz a LinkedIn recommendation saying those very words?
Oh, no, I haven't. I endorsed her on a few things a long time ago, and I may have given a review years ago, but that's a great idea. I should go and do that. I know that'd really help, and I'd love to put it out there. Thank you, Brenda.
Yeah, absolutely. And bonus tip, in the Marketing with Meller playback area, I will pull a transcript of this entire call. So Rose, you can literally just go in and grab what you just said, and then you can copy and paste it into your LinkedIn recommendation, because I am all about efficiency, my friends. If you've already said it, like sometimes it's just the mental brain power, because you get in front of you just said that from the heart. And if you were to sit down and think about what you're going to write, then it's, I don't know, something happens to our brain. We freeze up. We're like, I want to make it perfect. It was perfect. What you said was perfect. So feel free to grab it from the transcript, drop it in the LinkedIn recommendation, send it off. And the great thing about doing that technique, Rose, is once Liz accepts it, you both get visibility from each other's profiles on that. So it's a really nice technique. All right. So I want to start to wrap us up here. And I always like to end with, as we're talking about these products, these services, what are the next steps to work with you, Liz? And I see that you've dropped inside the chat. I'll put it in the show notes as well. You have a meet and greet via Zoom. Is that the 20-minute call that you were referring to?
That one is not. Let me go ahead and schedule the complimentary conversation. So
okay, so there's another one in there. There's the book, Permission to Dominate Your Success, the Amazon link that we'll include in there. The upcoming workshop is listed in there as well. Mm-hmm. And I'll make sure I'll drop those into the show notes. I'm going to put those into the chat one more time, just in case someone joined the call late here. What happens in Zoom is you only see the chat. I still believe it's at the point that you come into the call. They're getting a little better at giving us the chat and messaging history, but I think it's still at the point that you come in. So I'm going to drop that in so that it appears on the bottom there. Any final comments for us, Liz, before we wrap up our conversation today?
There's a lot that we're facing right now as business owners, as professionals. There's a lot of pressures. I invite you, as you go through all of that, to know that it is always important to pay attention to what's happening around you. But I also invite you to pay attention to what's happening inside of you and to get the support that you need, whatever that may be. Because when it comes to building what matters to you, when it comes to building your career, your business, your dreams, ultimately the biggest factor and really the only permission you need is your own.
Wonderful. Couldn't have said it better myself. So thank you so much, Liz, for being with us here today, for allowing us to share the spotlight on you. And I want to thank everyone else for participating in the call as well. And if you're listening to the podcast, for listening to there as well. So Marianne did say, how do we register for Liz Masterclass on July 21st? Did you put that? Was that the one link that you dropped into the comments?
Yep, that's right there. The upcoming workshop. That's it right there. And that's how you can access that. We do have a few spaces left. I'd love to have you.
Wonderful. All right. And as we wrap, I just want to remind everyone a couple of other upcoming events that will be coming up with Marketing with Meller. I'm going to share the screen real quick here. And what I've been doing is I'm almost on a weekly model right now, but I like to offer, I used to say at least 3 events per month. Now we're moving towards 4 events, and we might as well call it weekly at this point because some months only have 4 weeks and we're pretty close to 5. But I try to do one member spotlight interview every month. Our next one is going to be in August, and that will be a spotlight on Tom Wells. We also have one office hours every month. And right now I'm trying Mondays for the summer. I might be moving back to Fridays again in the fall, but our member office hours will be on Monday, July 13th. Remember, office hours are a really great way to network with fellow Marketing with Meller members. We each get an opportunity to do a 1-minute introduction, and then we open up the floor for general questions. If you have questions related to your marketing activities for your business, related to your LinkedIn profile, your company page, anything like that, we can help you out. Then we also have Masterclasses that we offer through Marketing with Meller, and these are educational sessions typically led by me. Sometimes I bring in guest presenters as well. And I discovered recently that many of you, your invoicing process, you were using basic Word documents and emails and stuff like that. So I want to teach you how to master the art of the branded invoice and what that means and what it looks like for your business. And it's a fairly simple process to go through. So I'll be talking about that on July 21st. We also do roundtables in Marketing with Meller where it's almost like, imagine that round table. We're all sitting there and we're going to go around and discuss a topic. And on July 30th, the topic will be what I wish I knew when I was getting started. So thinking back to when you first started your business, if you could tell yourself anything, give yourself some advice, we'll be sharing that along. And there's a series of other upcoming events in there as well. If you ever want to look up to see what the upcoming events are for Marketing with Meller, just go to the sign up page. If you go to mellermarketing.com/join, and scroll down, I will list inside here all of the upcoming events. Okay, so just check that out if you are interested. With that said, I want to thank everyone so much, and especially Liz Lopez for being our guest here today. Delightful conversation. I hope everyone has a wonderful afternoon. I'm going to stop the recording now, and then I'll keep the Zoom open for a few more minutes for networking.